What is everybody? Welcome back to another video. Everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about how are my aftermarket parts are holding. I've tested them, trialed them. Obviously the car went through dyno. I had my hiccups, issues, and I've driven the car more than before to see a lot of kinks, issues, and I'm gonna give you my honest opinion on what do I feel or what it's been like running aftermarket parts and what I've been kind of like dealing with to this point. So let's talk. All right, talking about the axles. So on the axles and intermediate section, I am running a insane shaft secondhand, but I re-serviced it with grease on the driver's side. Long story short, I bought these from Right Hand Drive Cav a long time ago. So they were used. Went to get an alignment. The driver's side, when I had it on the EG, I think they did the outer tire wrong, and it ended up breaking my snapping my axle. Well, the outer the outboard of it. I should have kept it, but I didn't know at the time, so I threw everything away. But I could have kept the shaft because it's the correct length, and it's obviously rated for this power, for 500 horsepower. So intermediate shaft, we have an Amazon special, 50 bucks, about 55 bucks, and it's been doing its thing. For the driver's side, we have an O'Reilly special. It's an RSX base driver's side axle. So I think it was like 80 bucks or something, about 80 bucks. These cost me 140 to use, but obviously I've had them for a while. But what I've seen people do, they swapped, I think it's the inboards, but still, I still feel like it's questionable because you miss length here, the correct length for it, and if you do a lot of turns, it could pop out of your intermediate shaft. So what I've seen people do, it's they get an 08 Civic, but yeah, Civic, it's like from 2006 to 2008, I believe, or 10, base Civic that comes with a 1.8, and the driver's side, passenger, is the correct length. The only problem is if you're running ABS, it does not have the teeth in the front, so that's the only problem. But it's the correct length shaft. So I guess if you change the outboard, it could, to run ABS, or it could work. So, but yeah, that's the correct length that I've seen from doing research if you want to keep it under budget, and it's 32 millimeters as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the axles as well. No complaints, as long as you're not beating it, and obviously I'm not boosting, so that probably would have changed a little bit of the power outcome also on that one, not this one on the passenger side. All right, so let's start out from the beginning. So we're going to go from the front. Obviously I will be talking about the AC later on. AC is still in the, I guess, developing process. I'm yet to put AC, but I do have a lot of the components already. But let's start out with the radiator. So the radiator was pretty much a budget application. It was from eBay. I believe it was $100, and the shroud was $100 as well. So not too bad, for what you have seen. So what they sell, aftermarket wise, obviously an RSX EP3 bolt up perfectly because they have the same stud patterns on the bottom. So radiator wise, you can't complain. Knock on wood. Thank you, Jesus. It's been working. It's been holding, doing its thing. Obviously, I didn't pair it up with a cheapo fan. I actually spent the money and got a spa fan. But the shroud been doing really good. Radiator, good. I did not really, I guess, look when I was buying it, and I apologize for this. This is my supercharger. Just the car sits here, and I just wanted the battery not to die while it just sits here. But this is a automatic radiator, so I had to block off the bottom port that the automatic uses, I guess, for like cooling purposes for the transmission. And I had to get some MPT block off to do it. But I like this style versus the I want to say the manual one. The only issue that I have with these ones, obviously this is a budget setup, is the upper inlet. You guys can see if it was to be moved just this little tad bit to this side, it will not hit my TPS plug. See how it's touching, and it'll allow me to clock it I guess better and not interfere. So that's a a boo-boo right there. So if you guys are looking to put this on an Integra, these work perfectly. And you know, if you can probably get these to move a little bit further down here, you'll be set. So that's the only issue that I have with that budget setup. I apologize. All right, so moving forward, you know, we have the throttle body, cheapo $60 70mm throttle body. It require a lot of effort from me. It does stick slightly, but nothing that's concerning to the point. I mean, it is kind of annoying, but it does stick a little bit. Nothing crazy. You know, I did have to clock the spring a couple times, but you know, it does not have quality control, so I did clock it. You know, this time I gave it two turns, or tighten it 2. Last time was like 3, but I mean, overall it feels good. And with the 3, it felt pretty good too. And then also, TPS is not a name brand one, it's just a dormant one, and it's questionable. But a lot of the K series TPS are questionable. That's why a lot of people switch over to the B series ones and do the conversion. But it I want to say it did work for a little bit. Now when I try to recalibrate it, I guess it got messed up inside. So you know, the idle when I drive and I stop, it stays pretty high. I would say like 1,500, 1,300, and then it drops slowly. But it's just super high for what it is. But you know, the throttle body, it's okay. I mean, if you have the money, obviously you get a good one. But if you're just on a budget, and you know, like, then you're gonna have to, you know, maybe calibrate it or look into it a little bit. Also, the cooler intake's also a budget one. So far it's been okay. It has the clearance and stuff like that. I mean, you could angle it and finesse it, but you know, that's pretty much, you know, as best as I was just gonna get, you know, with that. The filter as well. I mean, the filter could be restricting power, who knows. I mean, also throttle body cable, it's also a budget one. I think it was like 13 bucks as a GSR replica or aftermarket one. It's also questionable. I mean, it's not, I don't blame the throttle body cable. I blame the throttle body for sticking, but cable's also cheap. But I mean, I don't mind it. 13 bucks. I mean, it could probably stretch over time quicker than a budget one, but I mean, than a expensive one. But it's okay. No complaints there yet. Also, you can't see it, but the clutch is also a budget one. It's a Clutch Max. I think I spent less than $200. It is a stage 1. The flywheel is a mule. I could have, you know, I could have opted for a lighter flywheel to get resurfaced, but I think that also could be robbing me of maybe port power, or you know, just acceleration in the RPMs. But it's holding good, doing its job. No complaints there whatsoever. Also, the fuel rail, it's aftermarket, looks pretty much like a Hybrid Racing knockoff. Besides this not being tightened all the way, it's doing its thing. No problems there. Fittings are also cheap. Those ones are delicate, so you have to be super delicate when you remove them and you switch things out. But other than that, the lines I made it myself. Everything seems to be holding. No complaints there whatsoever. The injectors are aftermarket RDX, so they're not OEM, so those are also questionable. But my tuner said that they were actually producing their flow, and you know, it looked good on the graph. So and also the company had great reviews, good feedback, so I went with them. And they're 410 cc's, just like RDX's. Also questionable, but no complaints there whatsoever as well. And then engine mounts are cheap engine mounts. I think I spent less than 20 bucks. They're not dual height, so they're only, you know, one height. And you know, they were missing hardware. You know, it's some stuff that I had to put elbow grease, but you know, you pay for what you get. And so far they've been holding, they've been doing their job. These are 68 on the stiffness. I mean 68, yeah, on the stiffness. So no complaints there. They're doing their thing. What else do I have here that is budget that I can talk to you guys? Because the fuel rail the fuel pressure regulator that I had was budget, and it started leaking on me. So the diaphragm or something, inside. The seal probably took a crap. I probably could replace it and it would have been fine, but I mean, even though it was leaking, it was holding pressure and it got me through. So, you know, at least it didn't really break down completely and let me strand it. So no concerns there. I upgraded to a K-tune. So, you know, the budget build, or me trying to, you know, trial and error budget parts, it's over. You know, if something breaks, I'm gonna put something decent. I want this car to be reliable. And that's pretty much it, what I can think of when it comes to budget that I have put in here. If I can think of something, I'll probably let you guys know. The swivel's also budget. I have no issues. A lot of people complain about it leaking. I just do start pattern when I tighten them, and I changed the thermostat to a stand style fail safe that you can get at AutoZone, any parts store. You know, just a safe measure. I drill a couple MPT holes and blows, and it does really good on cooling. So that's also something that's been doing really good. No complaints there. And I think that's it when it comes to budget. You know, the hoses are budget, and you know, they're doing their thing. No complaints there. You know, other than the fuel pressure regulator and the TPS that are questionable. My IAC, if you're running a street car, I always suggest to run an IAC. My IAC, it's OEM, but it is, I pretty much, I won't say rebuilt it, but I opened it up and I unseized it. So it's also could be questionable, you know, in the idling, but it's you know, it's doing its thing. So, but it's not, you know, I did buy an aftermarket one from Amazon, and it turned out to, you know, I worked for a couple of days and then it stopped working. So I should have it here somewhere. But yeah, so those are just off the top of my head that I probably remember that I installed in the vehicle that is budget and, you know, worked and did not work. So yeah, those are a couple things right there. Obviously I am running a 3-inch exhaust that is budget. I think it was less than 130 bucks, but you know, it's just a piece of metal, so I'm not really gonna, I guess, review that. You know, also something budget that I'm running, I am running the cutout shifter. It's a budget one. So far been holding. The riv nuts on the front broke off, so I had to just, you know, drill a hole and doing the old-fashioned way when I was installing it. Fuel pump is a Chemzo, and knock on wood, it's been doing its thing, holding pressure. So I am very, very grateful that anybody that's wondering on how they do, so far I've been good with it. I actually bought it about 5-6 years ago, and I put it on my EG, and I took it off because I was having second thoughts, put an AEM, and then I threw it here in the Integra, and it's been flawlessly so far. So knock on wood, everything's going great. So those are just things that I can point out from the budget parts on the Integra that I've been doing good, or holding, or not giving me issues. So for those that are wondering or thinking about doing that, because obviously K-swap is an expensive thing to do if you're, you know, buying name brand stuff. So letting you guys know, you know, the way I had it, made it through the dyno, it survived, other than the fuel pressure regulator that I had that was budget. But yeah, so that's pretty much my opinion review on my budget parts on the Integra and how they've been performing to this point. Something else before I leave you guys, my SPA fan, it, you know, it draws or surges, and it doesn't do well with the cooling fan fuse stock one from here. So a lot of people I've seen, they just upgrade the fuse amp to something higher, but that's so totally unsafe, because if it spikes too much, your wiring could fry, and then you have a bigger problem to deal with. And you know, if it's popping, it's for a reason. So you know, something you need to pay attention to. So I added a extra relay for the fan, and so far it's been doing really good. And I hope it fixes the issue permanently with blowing fuses on the fans. So if you guys have any issues, just look into that as well. But yeah, that's going to conclude the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any comment concerns or you want to put some feedback, leave them down below in the comment box. If you guys have questions regarding, what do you think about this, or but parts that are budget and how they're holding and working, by all means, I tested driving them. It's been on this car, and I can tell you that some of it works, some of it you can get lucky, some of it's 50-50, and some of it kind of like doesn't work good, but it's kind of like you just have to tolerate it or ignore it. But other than that, if you're on a budget, it is worth it, because that's all you have and you want it to be affordable. But yeah, that's gonna conclude the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Keep coming back for more K-12 related content. Catch you guys in the next one.